Have you ever felt like life hit you with so much at once? Work changes, family changes, health changes that you wondered, how do I get my confidence back after everything that's happened? Maybe the job you worked so hard for ended. Maybe you found yourself in that sandwich generation. You know how that is, caring for aging parents and you still supporting kids or grandkids, and you're somehow trying to hold it all together. Maybe that empty nest you expected hasn't come about the way you thought, or maybe it did, but it feels different than you imagined. Maybe your body has changed. Menopause hit, your energy dropped, and suddenly everything you felt and feel now feels so heavy. It's heavier than it used to. If you're over 50, you know this. Life throws a lot at you. And sometimes the impact of all those changes can shake your confidence, even after everything you've already overcome. If you've ever felt that way, you're not alone. A lot of women over 50 go through it, especially after these big life shifts. And here's the real thing that nobody says out loud: you're not new to bouncing back. You just want to feel strong doing it again. You want to get your groove back and move forward without feeling lost or stuck. Here's the truth: your best days are not behind you. Your story is not over. You still have so much ahead of you: more dreams, more strength, and more joy than you even realize. Mhm. I'm Dr. Geneva, and I help high achieving women over 50 rebuild their confidence and create that next chapter and move forward with purpose. So, today, we're going to talk about how to rebuild your confidence after setbacks and how to move forward with power, peace, and purpose. So, here's what we'll do. I'm going to talk about why confidence feels different after 50 and what you can do about it, how to trust yourself again after life, shakes you up, and simple steps so that you can take today to create your next chapter. And then I'm going to give you a free tool to help you take some action right away. Okay. So, I first want to start with the truth that really nobody talks enough about. Confidence after 50 does feel differently. And it's not just in your head. There are real reasons behind it. First, your body changes. Hormones shift, sleep gets harder, energy doesn't bounce back like it used to. Brain fog can hit you, making harder for you to focus on things or remember what you need to remember. And that can shake your confidence, even if you know you smart. Second, work isn't the same. You may have lost a job. You may have hit a wall in your career. You may have been overlooked for promotions you earned because of your age, not just your ability. They call it gendered ageism. That's when you, a woman, and you over 50 and you get passed over, dismissed, or made to feel invisible while men get called distinguished. You know what I'm talking about. If you know what I'm talking about, put a yes in the chat. And then life gets harder when you're over 50. It feels heavier sometimes. Why? Because you may be grieving. You've lost a loved one. You've lost a role that you've loved. Even the loss of who you thought you might be by now. You might be caregiving for aging parents while still showing up for your kids or grandkids. And with all of that responsibility, it's easy to start asking, where do I fit in anymore? So if your confidence feels different these days, I want you to hear you're not broken. You're not failing. You're carrying a lot, true, but you still stand. And that's why this conversation today is so important. And so many of you have asked me to talk about it because I want to talk not just about bouncing back. We really need to talk about building a new, stronger foundation based on everything you've lived through. Okay? So that's what I want to get into. And I want to talk about the shifts that we're experiencing and what we can do about them. But I'd like to ask you to think about one word, just one word that describes how you want to feel by the end of this year, by the end of 2025. How do you want to feel? You can type it in the chat or write it somewhere nearby. And whatever it is, whatever word you choose, might be strong, free, confident, joyful. Today is about helping you move forward towards it, one step at a time. Okay? So let's talk about the first shift that really um, I want you to understand as we talk about rebuilding your confidence after setbacks. The first thing you must understand and how you need to shift your mindset is you're not starting over, you're starting ahead. Now, you may not feel that way when you experience them setbacks, but let me tell you, every setback that you've had, that you've faced, has given you, when you stop and think about it, every setback has given you more wisdom, resilience, perspective than most people have ever. So you're not starting at zero. We don't look at it like that when we're in the throes of a major loss or losing someone that we love or we care about, or we feel the pressure of taking care of mom and dad and still seeing kids off to school or making sure that they're walking in the right path. I know we don't feel like we're wiser, more resilient, or we have that perspective that we have gained so much. But the fact of the matter is, even if you don't feel it while you're going through it, you aren't starting at zero. And you are starting with those experiences, those decades of experiences, and they are really making you stronger, not weaker. And so it's important. One of the things I realized going through these kinds of setbacks, and one of the action steps it's important for you to do is to learn to trust yourself again. I know after I lost my husband, we were married 40 years, I became a widow. It was hard. It was scary because for all those years, decades now, I was in a partnership where I never made decisions alone. Now, I was a strong woman. I had a successful career. I did all that, raised my children. But that decision making process was a partnership. And so, even the littlest things after I lost my man, I was scared about making those decisions. And so I had to learn that every choice I made, even small ones, like trying something new, a new hobby, or fixing things in my house myself. But even those little things was a vote of confidence in myself. And each decision proved that I was capable, strong, and wise enough to lead my own life. So it's extremely important that we learn to trust ourselves again as we're rebuilding, trying to come back after these setbacks. And the thing that's so, I think, so wonderfully amazing about being over 50 is that you got a lot of experience that you can lean on, look at, think about where you made decisions before and it was okay. So, this learning to trust yourself again is an important way to rebuild your confidence after setbacks. So, the next mindset shift that is very important for you to understand is that confidence is not a trait, it's a skill. And what that means is that you can learn it. Okay. So confidence isn't really something you're born with. It's something that you can practice, a skill. You can learn it by showing up for yourself again and again, even when you're scared, even when it's messy. And that saying yes is so important. I remember one of the first times that I said yes again to something new when I stepped into this new phase uh, of widowhood in my 60s. And I wanted, it was scary to say yes because I was unsure and uncertain of a lot of things because the world was different. But I found that when I just said yes, that little by little I could build that courage. And so my girlfriend my girlfriend was going to this conference in Paris, and where she worked and the job that she did got her some perks in terms of the airline and the hotel, and so she asked me if I'd like to go. Now, let me tell you, I was just in the throes of being. I mean, I didn't even know if I could get up out bed, okay, because I had not only become a widow, but at the same time that I lost my husband, I lost my mom and my dad. So, grief was all around me. And I decided I mean, I thought about it for a long time, for weeks, but I said, let me just say yes. And that was the first time that I really said yes again. And I went, and it was amazing. But just the fact that I said yes, that one word reminded me that life still had good things waiting for me. And then I began to say yes again to things. I said yes to start dancing again. I said yes to going out on a date. I said yes to taking bold moves and moving forward with my business. And you can say yes to. And it's one of these techniques, these hacks, these tools, learning how to say yes again. It doesn't have to be a big moment or a big thing. It's just a decision to stay open to joy. Okay. Then the third shift I want to talk about, in terms of where your mind needs to think about different things as you're learning how to rebuild your confidence after a major loss or an empty nest or just something different happening in your personal life. That shift is to understand that your best is still being written, that you have so much in front of you, so much possibility, because age is not a deadline. It's just not. And setbacks are not the end. Setbacks are those plot twists in our book of life. And your next chapter can be the best one yet if you're willing to understand that you can turn the page and that you should turn the page. I remember um, one of the uh, techniques, tools, hacks, whatever you want to call it. I tried all kinds of things to recover from all of these setbacks that seemed to happen, once I turned 50, all these changes that were going on. And one of the techniques I found that was really great was to just laugh. And I remember the day I caught myself laughing again. The man that I had married for and been with for so many years in our family, we did a lot of laughter. He was a comedian in itself. He that was part of his personality. And so there was a lot of laughter always in our household. And I had forgotten how to laugh. And I remember the day I caught myself laughing again without even thinking about it. It was a real deep, you know how you do them deep laughs? And it hit me that healing sometimes isn't loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's those real small moments that make you realize you're living again. So try it. Understand that laughter and enjoying life, putting that smile on your face. Again, that's a mindset shift that so often we don't think about, but it goes a long way to help rebuilding confidence. And that's really what this whole notion of rebuilding confidence really looks like. It sneaks up on you when you're not trying so hard. But um, so those are three shifts in terms of your mind that are important to talk about. And when I was thinking about this conversation and what I wanted to teach, I really it's so important to talk about this whole notion of moving forward, moving on. And so many people get this wrong, I believe, after a setback. And I learned this the hard way, but I still learned it. And and I think that many people get this wrong after a setback, which is why I want to talk about. This whole idea of moving on and moving forward. If you've had a loss, people be saying to you, move on. Why don't you move on? I think that feels like pressure. It's this idea that you're supposed to get over it, erase it, act like it never happened. And honestly, society tries to rush us through grief and setbacks and failures because it's really uncomfortable to sit with real pain. And so I'm about the belief that moving forward is where we need to be. That is, us women over 50, because it's about honoring what's happened and choosing to keep living. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's a difference in that. So moving forward, you carry the love, you carry the lessons, you carry the strength you've gained from walking through whatever it is that you've walked through. You're not starting over, you're starting ahead, stronger, wiser, and even more powerful than before. You don't pretend it didn't happen. You become more because of it. Do you understand this concept? And I think it's very important for this mind shift that we need to get to, and how we view setbacks. And again, I'm not talking about when you're in the throes of it, because when you're in the throes of it and you're grieving and you're reflecting and you got that pain, I get that. I've been there, you've been there. I'm talking, this lesson is about how you rebuild, and the bouncing back, if you're over 50, is different. Because, see, you know how to bounce back. Because if you anywhere over 50, you done had a lot of things where you've had to bounce back. Okay. So that you know about. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how you approach that bounce back is different, because you're not moving on like you're denying or ignoring or erasing everything that's happening with you. When you're over 50, you want to take those experiences with you. And here's the heart of it. You are not who you were before your loss, whatever that loss is. You are more. You are more resilient, more compassionate, more wise, more aware of how precious life is. That is amazing. That is strength. And that's what the difference is. Rebuilding confidence over 50 isn't about forgetting. It's about living forward fully, bravely, beautifully, vibrantly. Okay, so let's just focus on the action steps that we've talked about, in terms of what I want you to do. So, what I want you to do is to take 5 minutes and write down one strength you have today that you didn't have 10 years ago. It could be patience, it could be speaking up, it could be handling hard things with grace. Write it down, name it. Own it, because that's the proof you're not starting over, you're starting ahead. Okay. So you want to name what it is. Okay. I also want you to think of one small yes you can give yourself this week. Something simple but meaningful, like trying a new activity or reaching out to an old friend, or for, going online and registering for a course you've been thinking about, starting that exercise plan, whatever it is. Simple but meaningful. Pick your yes, write it down, because confidence grows every time you say yes to life again. Okay. And then the other thing I want you to do is, before you go to bed tonight, I want you to take a few moments and give your next chapter a title. Now, I always talk about our books, our life books. It's about our life, our career, our loves, everything in our book of life. And whatever chapter you in now, okay. But I want you to think about the next chapter. And I want you to give it a title, something that feels right for where you're headed. It might be The Rise, New Beginnings, My Bold Season, or anything that speaks to you, Finding Joy. Whatever it is, I want you to think about your next chapter, give it a title, write it down, and then I want you to put it somewhere where you can see it all the time, every day, whether that's a sticky note on your computer, a magnet, put it on a magnet on your refrigerator, put it in your phone, maybe it's that cover on your phone, wherever. I want you to see the name of your next chapter every day. Because, see, you understand that the title you choose isn't just a wish, it's a declaration of where you're going next. Okay? So that's what I want you to do. So, again, today I wanted to talk about how important it was for these mindset shifts in order for you to move forward after a setback, and how you can rebuild confidence, how confidence looks different after 50, when we're in our 50s and 60s and 70s. It just be looking different, like a whole lot of stuff look different, okay, when we in midlife. And how you can use that as an asset, as a foundation to build on. And remember, as you're going through these setbacks and losses, when you're coming out and trying to figure out what's next, you don't have to move on, you're moving forward one step at a time. And of course, if you want that roadmap, that free resource that I promised you to help you along this journey, it's my Reinvention After 50 Strategic Action Plan. The link is in the description. It is so simple for you. You can just follow the steps, the guidelines in very, very clear language, and it can help you with that next step, that reinvention after 50. It's an action plan for you, and it's free if you need help taking those next steps. And remember, if you want to go deeper, I mentioned earlier, I'm going to have a live workshop soon called Speak with Confidence. And it's a workshop for high achieving women over 50. The details will be coming soon. So make sure you continue to follow me, and you'll hear all about that. So that's the lesson For today, I want to go in and just say hello to everyone who's here. Perhaps I haven't had a chance to see you. Hello there on TikTok and Betty and um, all the folks who are there. And thank you so much. Hey, Bernadette, how are you? It's so good to see you. I've been following you on LinkedIn. Congratulations on all the wonderful things that you're doing. I really appreciate you sharing that with us all the time. Um, so, if you have any questions, let's see. Um, Okay, Nidra. All right, midlife baddie. Oh, I love that. So, what are any questions? Let me just see. Let me just check. Great, great. I know that. Let me check here. I want to go over to the chat to see where our questions are. Okay. Okay. So we have this one question. Um, how do you get, how do you learn to move on, like you said? Okay. Well, again, the moving on is a process. Yes, I understand it. And I want to say to all of you that I ain't telling you it's easy because it ain't. But if you want to live a life of joy, if you want to continue living, and oftentimes we have to make that decision. How do we want to move forward? How do we want our life? Um, what do we want it to look like? And oftentimes, in order to do that, we have to have some mindset shifts. So we have to learn to say yes again. We need to laugh again. We need to understand that we need to know that we can learn things like being confident and that we don't have to be born with and are not with all these confidence skills because that's what it is, a skill. So that means there's a pathway to get to it. That's what skills are. If it's a skill, you can get to it. You can train yourself, you can learn it, you can practice. And that's the thing, the bottom line, I believe, about um, skills and learning how to be confident after setbacks. And that is, you have to practice it. And one tiny thing that you do gives you the confidence, and then you move on to the next thing. Okay. Um, so now we've got another question. How do you rebuild trust in yourself when past setbacks, like a failed relationship or career disappointment, still make you second guess your choices? Yeah, I get it about that second guesses because when we're going through a loss, or whether it's a job or a loved one, we second guessing everything, and learning how to trust is so critical. So let me just say a couple things about that. Um, First of all, the trust that you have in yourself, um, it's always been there. It's there. That's the first important thing to shift your mind. And secondly, I want you to think about where what were those times when you trusted yourself before. So you've made decisions, you've been in circumstances that you were involved in, you got in it, you changed it, you influenced it, you made good decisions, you did the right thing. Think of one time when you did it right. What did you do? How did you feel? Did you trust yourself? You did because you made the right decision. So, what I want you to do is to recapture that feeling. What did it feel like? What were you thinking? What did you do? And then, thirdly, apply that to right here, right now. So, the question is an important one, the way it was phrased: rebuild trust. Because and it's the same thing we've been talking about, like rebuild confidence, because the re in it is a repeat, which means you had it. You're trying to find it or discover it again. But it isn't that you're building it from scratch. And because you're not building from scratch, go back to those times. All you need to do is find one. Go back to those times when you successfully were confident, when you successfully had self trust. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's a mindset shift. So don't run out looking for it in a book or even listening to a video. Go into yourself first. Okay, that's the first thing. So I hope that answers the questions. And here's a question: what are some small habits that can help me rebuild confidence when I don't feel motivated? Well, let me tell you this. Not feeling motivated, I get that. It's like I said, there were days when I didn't even want to get into bed, and I'm sure get out of the bed and get into bed too, because I couldn't sleep. So it was this vicious cycle. Couldn't sleep, and then when I did fall asleep, I could barely get out the bed. And so the lack of motivation is a big one. So some small things. One, do simple things. Do things that know what brings you joy. It might be taking a walk. It might be talking to your best friend. I did that a lot. It might be exercising. You might have a favorite comedy show that you like to watch. Let me tell you, I love me some Richard Pryor, have always. And during those periods when I was trying to get myself back together, I watched more Richard Pryor reruns because it made me laugh. In spite of everything, I lost myself in it, but I got back into it because it was something I enjoyed. So I think one of the biggest things when we talk about small habits is to be obsessive about finding those things that bring you joy. There's at least one thing. And if you do that, um, that'll work. I'm going to tell you another habit that really helped me rebuild my confidence, particularly when I didn't feel motivated, and that was exercising. I'm going to tell you. And it doesn't have to be always this whole go get a gym membership and do all that. It could just be a simple walk. But I went all in. I picked up my weight training again. I got a trainer. I would be in the gym walking around. I'll never forget. I would walk around the track, tears streaming down my face. But I'd be walking around that track. And by the time, after a couple times, people got used to it. People got used to seeing me there every day crying, but I was there every day. So get obsessive about something that you like to do, that you think would be good for you, and do it. And so that would be my suggestions there. So I think we are about out of time. My TikTok family, thank you so much for being here. We love having you here. Going to see you the next time. Don't forget living life over 50. Um, Let me check someone's telling me to check my TikTok. Okay, my TikTok. Yeah, I see everybody's there. Am I supposed to be saying hello, goodbye? Thank you so much for being here. I'm TikTok, my TikTok family. I'm coming on in a few minutes with you because I want to. So many of you asked me about the lipstick I wear during these live streams. I'm going to come on and tell you about it and how it relates to confidence. Okay, so stay tuned. Join me again if you're in just a few minutes. I'm going to go on TikTok again and talk about confidence and lip color. It's so good to see you. Thank you all. Remember that free guide, Reinvention After 50. It's a strategic plan. It's simple. It's what I use. It's what I use with my clients. It's a good thing. There's a QR code up here. You can just get that. And it's free. Did I tell y'all it's free? Okay. See y'all. Love you. See you next Wednesday on Dr. Geneva Speaks Live. We'll be diving into another topic all about how you can transform and reinvent and have the best, most vibrant life after 50. See ya.